Seeking the truth never gets old, even when it hides in the shadows. Immerse yourself in the world of June's Journey, a free-to-play hidden object game set in the roaring 20s. Solve the mystery of the devious gossip spreader and celebrate our 7th anniversary with exclusive events, never-before-seen decorations, thrilling mysteries, and exciting giveaways. The adventure and the gossip awaits. Are you ready for the journey? Download June's Journey today for free on Android or iOS.
Do you love to shop? I love to shop. Like, do you shop while you're working, while you're eating, or even while listening to this podcast? Yeah, we all do it. We all know and love the thrill of the hunt. But are you getting the thrill of the best deals? Rakuten shoppers do, because they get the brands they love with the most savings and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores like Nike, Bloomingdale's, and even Expedia if you're looking to travel. And you'll never miss out because you can even stack sales on top of your cash back. The idea is simple. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back through PayPal or check. Rakuten is easy to use. Just download the free Rakuten app now and never miss a deal. Or go to Rakuten.com to start getting the most bang for your buck. That's Rakuten, Rakuten. Happy shopping.
In 2005, two brothers hit the road to fight monsters. That road has led them to fighting demons, angels, and saving the world.
It's a journey that is taking them to heaven, hell, and back. But they aren't done.
Join our journey as we go episode by episode, following the adventures of Sam and Dean Winchester. We break each episode down with the writers, producers, directors, crew, and actors to bring you the behind-the-scenes stories of how this legendary TV series was made. That guy right there, that's Rob Benedict. He played God and Chuck Shirley.
Hey, and that guy there, that's Richard Spade Jr. He played Gabriel, Loki, and the Trickster. And P.S., he directed a bunch of episodes, too.
Now, while we are insiders, we're also outsiders, because we're not experts. This is our first time watching the entire series, all 327 episodes.
Rich and I have met many of the fans at conventions around the world, and we are deepening our understanding of why you all love this series so much. Because it's really good.
Yeah, it is. Now, listen. There will be spoilers, so consider yourself warned.
And thank you for joining us on this trip we call Supernatural Then and Now. Hey everybody, this is Rob Benedict.
And I'm Richard Spate Jr.
And we are talking about Season 6, Episode 3, The Third Man.
All right, so I guess that's the title of the episode. You're going to stick with that. You know, Jack White has a record label called Third Man Records. You're not a music guy, but I thought you might find that interesting.
That's right. I am a music guy, and I've been there to his headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee. Not sure if you've been to Nashville, Rich, but...
Where's that town? Sounds delightful.
Well, welcome everyone to our episode, and please, if you can support us on Patreon, at the $4 Angel level, you get early access of episodes where we do live premieres of the ad-free episodes on Saturdays. So you can simultaneously listen with the other members of the community and chat with each other while it plays.
Oh my God.
That's fun.
That sounds awesome.
And for $9 at the Archangel level, that's right, for you 10 spot and you get $1 back, you get to witness our live streams, participate in our Q&As, prizes, and get special access of other content.
Special access of other content? I feel like it would be two other content, but hey, I'm no linguist. Point is, you give us a $10 bill, Rob will
fly to wherever you are,
go through his pockets until he finds a single, hand it to you. In person.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you get to witness our live streams. You get to participate in Q&As. You get prizes. You get special access of other content. And also, you get to watch Rob back out of your driveway because he will have arrived at your door in a rental car to hand you a single.
Just to reiterate, it might be in change. So all this fun stuff is happening at patreon.com/SPN then and now.
Well, Robert, there's an episode of the show, 603. It's called The Third Man. Well, let's dive into it, shall we? You doing your summarizing.
While Dean sleeps, he dreams of Lisa.
He dreams of Lisa, his wife.
I guess that's all it was. They started to do the nasty, and then he woke up.
Oh, whoa. This is a classy review of a classy episode.
They started to do the biblically lay down in the grass together.
Right. Meanwhile, Sam's doing his Rob Benedict imitation.
Meanwhile, Sam is
forking over money for a little hoo-ha.
That's right. Sam is uncharacteristically paid for sex with a prostitute, and then he works out so we could see his body.
You know why that's uncharacteristic? Not the prostitute part. He usually just ditches them.
Yeah. Usually he doesn't pay. He asks for $1 back.
Yeah, he hooks up and then hot tails it out of there. Maybe he's an angel or an archangel.
Sam has discovered a new case in Easter, Pennsylvania, and Dean drives to meet him there. 2 officers have recently died in strange ways.
Very strange ways.
All right, I've made dumb notes for this episode. I might as well just say them as I'm going.
Rob's dumb notes. Sing it with me. Rob's dumb notes. In the back now. Rob's dumb notes.
I sat down to eat a nice leftover pasta marinara when this episode started to play. It is
Go on. How did you season it?
It is the most disgusting episode possibly of Supernatural ever. With faces, skin falling off faces, boils. Like I literally had to close my eyes and not look at the cop in the car with the boils on his face.
And by the way, that's saying something because there's been some gross ass episodes of Supernatural not that long ago. I think it was last week.
Yeah,
where the guy kept melting his skin off, and you go past the cop car and dip down, and there's like that wad of goo on the street.
Oh yeah. The goo. I mean, the goo. Oh God, it's awful. I was nauseous. So Dean drives to meet him there. 2 officers have recently died in strange ways. One was
very strange ways.
One was liquefied. The other broke out in severe boils, both inside and out. Sam and Dean interrogate a fellow police officer.
Was that guy melting? No, he was not.
Yeah, but turns out he was bleeding from the open wound in the head.
Yeah, he just didn't know.
The cop explains that he and the 2 dead officers once covered up the accidental shooting of a kid named Richard's old friend, Christopher Birch.
Yeah, how much is that a throw?
Yeah.
I went to high school with a guy named Chris Birch and has been friends with him forever. And Chris Birch is famous for consistently telling me to get a haircut all through high school. He thought I was a long-haired hippie.
Yeah.
Because Chris had a flat top, of course.
Yeah.
And he would simply see me in the locker room and bellow for all to hear, Spate, get a haircut. And that mantra became well famous amongst my friends, including Robbie Thompson, who made my director's chair and the Winchesters read not my name, but read get a haircut. All in homage to Chris Birch, who famously sang the lyrics to the John Bon Jovi song, You Give Love a Bad Name, in the locker room. The lyrics being, shot to the heart and you're to blame. You give love a bad name. He would sing at the top of his split end lungs, shot to the heart and you're still strong. You give love a bad name. And it didn't make sense. It doesn't rhyme, and it wasn't right. And to this day, he denies it. But that's what the man thought the lyrics were.
There you go.
In high school.
There you go. And coincidentally,
Chris Birch, everybody.
Right. Well, we're running out of time, and now
man knows how to grill chicken. But I'll get back to that mid review.
Coincidentally, the name of the kid in this episode that was unfortunately shot, same name.
Christopher Birch, but we don't know anything about that kid's ability to grill chicken, do we?
The officer continually scratches his head until he keels over dead. Sam removes the police officer's hat, and there's a big hole in the top of the cop's head, and several locusts crawl out. I'm eating my leftover pasta marinara.
Dude, so gross. So biblically gross.
Incredibly gross. Another dumb note thing I have here is when they have the montage of hot Jared working out.
Hot Jared.
And Jensen.
Who ordered the hot Jared? Two to go. Hot
And they cut to Jensen, and he's doing old man stretches by the car. He's doing kind of like these. I thought that was really funny.
That's funny.
The brothers believe the deaths have similarities to the Egyptian plagues. Dean prays to Castiel for help. Sam is convinced he won't appear, but Castiel does indeed show up. What a relief to finally see Castiel in this season.
Yeah, nice to see his contract kick in.
Yeah, exactly. Castiel says he and Dean have a more profound bond. Castiel confirms the brothers' suspicion. The deaths were caused by someone yielding the staff of Moses. It and several other divine weapons have been stolen from heaven, which is in chaos.
Oh, man.
He explains that there is a civil war happening in heaven. God is still nowhere to be found, and it's a mystery how Sam got out of hell. He asked for the brothers' help in finding the staff.
Rob, sometimes you ask for help finding your staff.
That's true. I do. If there's anyone else in the restroom.
Care to elaborate?
Excuse me. Is there someone in the stall next to me? Sam and Dean investigate and discover the brother of the accidentally shot boy traded his soul to an angel for a piece of the staff. which is something Richard has done. The brother Aaron used the staff's magic against the police officers. Castiel further learns from a painful reading of the boy that the angel who sold him the staff piece is Balthazar.
Oh, hello.
A fellow angel Castiel thought died in the current war in heaven.
I also have a staff.
That's Richard's imitation of Sebastian Roche. Suddenly, an angel appears, thanks Castiel for the information, and then attacks. As they fight, the angel reveals he's on a mission from Raphael.
Yeah.
Who wants to get the apocalypse back on track.
This whole get the apocalypse back on track thing. Guys, you're killing me.
Why would you? The angels fall out of a window, crushing Sam's new car. I didn't notice that it was Sam's car.
My new car.
I didn't notice that that's what, that's, all right, well, that's good. That gets him back in baby. Castiel takes the brothers to Balthazar's mansion. Castiel confronts Balthazar, who admits to stealing the staff and other weapons and to faking his own death.
I stole your staff. Yeah, I have a staff. And people who don't know need to know this about Sebastian Roche. Dirtiest man alive. People who've never been to a convention are thinking, why is Rich sounding like Count Chocula talking about a staff? But Sebastian Roche is French and literally the dirtiest man alive. There are proctologists and urologists out there who haven't discussed privates as often and as giddily and as in much detail as Sebastian Roche.
Well, and also, he was perfectly cast in this role that has a little bit of that. When he talks about having a threesome, but he's like, what's French for 12? I'm like, I thought that was a funny line because he's very French.
Yeah, it's very funny.
So Balthazar says he was inspired by Castiel's rebellious spirit. Then Raphael appears with two other angels. They battle. Castiel is about to be overpowered by Raphael, but Balthazar turns Raphael's vessel into salt.
Poof.
Sam and Dean trap Balthazar in a ring of holy fire.
Holy fire.
And convince him to give the boy his soul back, but he is then set free, keeping the weapons. Castiel felt he owed him one for saving his life. Sam admits that he's been a little bit off, talking about himself.
Yeah, man.
Blames hunting solo for the past year. Dean thinks there is something more. And there is. There's gotta be.
No, there's nothing more. That's it. Case closed.
The brothers drive off in the Impala together. Okay. Couple of my dumb notes that didn't get mentioned.
Rob's dumb notes. Here we go again. Rob's dumb notes. I'll take a nap, I think.
Bob is in this episode. Singer's in this episode. Do we all see Singer was in this episode? He gave himself a cameo like Hitchcock did.
Which is awesome and very Hitchcockian.
Yeah. That and my other note was Hot Jared.
I don't think it's a note you want to read out loud.
Sorry.
I think it's a note for you.
Sorry. But this season, I feel like Jared, in whatever weirdness is going on with Sam, but I feel like he's just like, he really is looking, everything's polished and perfect. Like his hair is, it's that quintessential Jared length, you know, and he's...
Yeah, the word you texted me while watching it was tasty. You said Jared's looking tasty.
That's not true, but I would have.
With 3 ice cream cones.
I would have stood by that.
And a tongue.
Uh-huh. I texted you, can I be the third man? So have we seen Raphael before?
Yeah.
Right. So is that really it for Raphael?
I think so. But again, you're asking your other partner in crime who hasn't watched the show. But I think that's Damore Barnes.
Yeah, we know Damore, and he's
adios.
He's a great fella, and I was bummed to see that maybe that was it for him, which is going to really throw a wrench in these plans for Civil War in heaven. But we'll see how it all pans out. I thought Sebastian Roche was so great. I'd never seen Sebastian in the show. He's a good friend.
You've never seen French Mistake?
No.
Oh, interesting.
No. So it was a delight to see him. He's such a good actor and perfect in that role. The other thing I wanted to say is that it's nice to see Castiel back. I really missed him. But, I remember Misha saying the one thing about his role that sometimes got annoying was this idea that he doesn't understand the human ways, and maybe they kind of overdid it. I feel like he was a bit more, Castiel seems a bit more out of touch with humans, didn't care about sticking his hand in that boy's belly. You know what I mean? And I'm just like...
Wait, what do you mean he felt more out of touch with humans?
He was even more like, sorry guys, this is the way it's got to be. This is the way it is, and I can't care about you as people. I
always felt like he's kind of like that, except for the two dudes.
He was subtly, yes, he was that way, and that was what one of the things I really love about the character is that he's a bit like Starman or whatever, right?
Right.
But every line was like, I don't know your human ways. I just thought it was, I don't know, maybe a bit.
Well, what's interesting is it's the first time we've seen Castiel, as you pointed out, in season 3, which is already feeling like a dramatically different season.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, it's how polished Jared looks, and kind of how Castiel seemed a little bit more two-dimensional, and that's not a cut against anybody. It just felt like a cartoon of Castiel to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's a slam on people. I think it's by design.
Yeah,
I feel like
perhaps
I feel like we're gonna learn. Like I feel like Sam's whole weird behavior is gonna play out into some sort of reveal,
right?
That we'll find out later because we don't know what we're talking about currently,
right?
And maybe Castiel's too,
right.
To your point,
very good.
Right, because I mean, it doesn't feel like they're making a mistake.
Right.
It's obviously on purpose, and it's obviously going to be that's why kind of moment.
Felt like they were making a bit of a French mistake.
But
all right, well, what?
And on trombone,
so now it's time for
and Rich ratings.
All right, so what'd you think? Smart guy.
Well, I'll tell you, it's my favorite of the three so far.
Yeah.
We've seen three. It's my favorite. I thought it had a really cool style to it. Sort of the singer-esque, like you said, the Hitchcockian stuff is just rock solid. And honestly, the gore was really good. Like you were talking about how gross it was. And it is gross.
Oh, so gross.
But it was all effective. Like we reacted. It felt biblical, and the locusts and everything like at that. So I kind of thought a lot of it worked in that regard. Those aren't easy to pull off in network TV. I think, of course, it's got that sort of Bob Singer flair.
Yeah, he's really great at doing that and directing that kind of episode, I think. And again, it was like, it didn't like purport to be full on Hitchcockian, but it just had a couple nods to Hitchcock, I thought.
Do we wonder why Bob is third in the season?
I think it has to do with maybe Jensen directing one of
Jensen directing?
Yeah,
okay.
I threw them all off a bit. But yeah, I mean, and that shot, and we'll talk to him about this, but the shot out the window of Misha getting off the car and then it came.
Yeah. Oh,
behind the
and
board.
that's such a Bob Singer shot too, man. Like that sort of camera hinge move.
Yeah.
Beard wise, though, I haven't really landed on one. I mean, do you know?
To me, we're not quite to my ideal yet.
No, I think we're taking a big step forward here.
Yeah. This.
And by the way, can we also say the introduction of Sebastian Roche as Balthazar is awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, just to know that he's a integral character and Sebastian himself is such an entertaining guy.
Yeah, as an actor, I always love seeing like scenes between two good actors where you're like, oh wow, both of these guys are bringing it and making each other better.
Right.
And that scene with him and Misha, which was a really chunky scene, was really well acted, and both of them enhanced that scene.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten to the point where I'm at Loggins territory, but I really definitely my favorite of the season. I'm going to give it a Vincent Price. Vincent Price, look him up.
Oh, that's
Google
funny.
him, everyone.
Dude, we're so close because you know what I was going to go with?
What?
Your Vincent Price is great. I was going to go with Colonel Sanders, which is
Same
almost
thing.
like the Vincent Price.
It's almost like something that maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a Sebastian Roche element or something. Not that he's got that kind of, but yeah, sort of that goes into kind of a pointy beard.
Like an elegant design of facial hair. Not a full beard, but a very specifically done by design facial hair.
Yeah. Look up Vincent Price. I think his last movie was Edward Scissorhands.
And he did the voiceover for Thriller video when we were kids, famously.
That's right. I got to love it when thinking about a 20-year-old fan listening to this podcast going, what world are these men from?
That's true, but they'll know Colonel Sanders because they still have like actors doing that character on commercials.
That's true.
Assuming that anybody under 20 has ever seen a commercial.
That's true. Well, we have it's such a treat every time this man comes on the show, and we haven't seen him since the last time, so I'm excited to sit down and talk with him.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. When's the last time we saw Bob Singer?
Sometime last season. I don't know. Maybe the beginning.
Way to narrow it down.
I don't know. Oh,
5.
Oh, we're getting word. This just
4. We've been 4. We've seen him 4. Back when he was 4 years old.
Season 4.
Right.
We haven't talked to him since season 4.
412.
412.
Like 412?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Well,
okay.
He is mentor to many.
Myself being one of them.
If they ever make a movie about his life, he will be played by Brian Cox.
I completely agree
with that too. He is the one and only Robert, in quotes, Bob Singer. You know, Bob, getting right into it, what I loved about this episode was your cameo. I thought that was a great sort of Hitchcock reference. I don't know The Third Man very well as a movie, but did you have references or throwbacks to that movie in particular?
No, it's got nothing to do with that movie.
Okay.
It's just a title.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of that movie, but this had nothing to do with that movie.
Okay.
By the way, I did a comedy bit in my cameo that we didn't put in, but
Tell us what it was.
now they were talking to the guy right, and they were walking the door, and I just walked out of that room and walked into the door and did a take. But we just, it was just for us, not for.
Did it make a blooper reel? Like if would people see that in the bloopers?
I don't even know if the camera was rolling. It was just a rehearsal, but
that's funny.
Now, obviously, Hitchcock was famous for doing that himself, putting himself in as a cameo. Weirdly, I'm just curious: was it called out in the script? Does Sarah know you were doing it, or whoever wrote it, and they're like, and this will be Bob's bit, or did you find that for yourself in the?
Just in the moment. I just did it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Oh well, that was. Is that the only time you've done that?
That was probably the first time I did it. I did it in the finale too.
Huh.
I was in the background in the finale. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, it's a nice homage to the filmmaker being referenced throughout this episode.
So Sarah really has the boys separated at the moment. At the end of season 5, they couldn't be closer. Now in 6, the gap between them couldn't be wider. Sam's even driving a different car. I mean, I guess I should say how much going into season 6, because this is the first season without Kripke. Were you trying to keep it the same? When you're crafting the show, how much did you go, okay, this is the direction we want to go? Was that difficult?
Well, it was difficult. It was kind of a bold move, we thought, but just to kind of shake it up. And I guess we had left Sam in hell. And we did this later on, too, with Sam when he hit the dog. And that was the first, when Jeremy took over, I guess was season 8. But the idea of seeing them with sort of separate lives to begin with and then reuniting them, but knowing that there's going to be this tension between them because they have been apart and what the history is. So we thought that's kind of a good kickoff place, and also creates an ongoing mystery of, well, what is the deal with Sam? Because Sam in this episode, he keeps saying, "No, I'm all right." But, Jensen knows something wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's clear since we saw him come back in that weird way an episode or two ago that he is not the normal guy.
Right. And Jensen senses that, and he talks to him. He tries to get him to talk a little bit in this episode, and he doesn't. So that was kind of part of the mythology part of the show, that's always going to be there, underlying all the stories until we can work it out.
Yeah, well, just to rewind the tape a little bit. As Rob said, this is the beginning of season 6. It's the beginning of a new chapter in showrunner history for the show as Sarah Gamble takes over. You, of course, being the consistent element here. What was that shift like for you to go from working side by side with Kripke to now you're side by side with a new captain for the first time?
Well, Eric and I we just always viewed it as a partnership. It was a great partnership. And, I knew Eric would be leaving at some point, but, I was not happy about that because we had a really good working relationship. I think starting with Sarah, I think her notion of what our position should be was a little different than what Eric thought or what we actually had in reality, and that all goes back to Bugs, where I said, I don't think this is going to work, Eric. And Eric was, go, no, it'll be great. I go, well, I don't think so, but sure, go ahead. You want to shoot yourself in the foot, be my guest, right? And after that, which, didn't work, he used to say, he says, if Bob says it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So we had to get over that hump with Sarah. But, listen, she did great work. And those were, 2 good seasons where she was basically the top writer. And like anything, Eric and I really hit the ground running. I don't know why. People, when you get the young writer, creator of a show, but they don't think he's, right up to being able to handle the day-to-day stuff, and they bring in the old fart. There's usually some animosity, where the old guy says, oh, this kid doesn't know what he's doing. And the young guy says, what do I need this old guy for? That never happened with Eric and I. We were simpatico right from the beginning, and we worked out our positions. It wasn't even something that we necessarily even talked about. It just happened. So that was kind of a magic relationship. And Sarah and I got along fine, and it was, it wasn't the same as being with Eric, but she did a terrific job, and those were 2 good seasons. So.
Did you end up finding a rhythm that worked for both of you? Like, you're talking about the sea legs you needed to establish at the beginning. 2 different personalities. Well, same personality, but she's a different personality, so the dynamic is going to be different. But did you feel comfortable with where you guys landed?
Absolutely. And it was fine. And we had set up, Eric and I had set up a kind of a system of how it all worked. which she was a part of. So, it wasn't like reinventing the wheel. So.
Yeah, she didn't come from the outside in.
Right.
She was already in the inside.
Right.
So that's good.
Are we crazy, or does this season have a different look than the previous seasons? It looks different to us. It looks a little more, what is it, Richard?
Like the color correction was altered or whatever. When Rob and I started the season, granted, we didn't watch them back to back, but it just felt different. And we were sure, I didn't know if like the camera package changed, lens package, or color correction or nothing. And we're just thinking we're seeing it.
I don't know. I never thought about that. We had the same DP and the same, lighting guys. So
sure.
It may just be time for Rob and me to go back down to Warby Parker and get our prescriptions updated.
But one thing we did, and maybe this is what you were seeing, is that every episode, we always thought we were doing 23 little movies a year, and we would shoot it in a way that fit whatever that movie was. I mean, obviously something like, a monster movie, which we did in black and white, but we would try to make the look of the show correspond to whatever the story was that particular week. So, maybe you were feeling that. I mean, that didn't change stuff drastically, and a lot of the episodes were obviously similar in tone. But, we would try to tweak things if we felt it was necessary. I didn't really feel that as I watched this episode. I thought it kind of looked like.
No, I actually think you're right about this episode. I think it hit us more with number one and number two, but maybe that was because it was Jensen living a family life. It was tonally different, and so it was designed to be.
And Sam is not the same. Sam's acting different, so
right.
We feel like something a little off, but I think it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
This is Jensen stopping in to say hey and let you know that we've got to take a quick break. I'm about to pop.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate is the world's biggest coffee lover because we love all the ways you enjoy. Wait. Coffee Mate can't love coffee more than me. I'm a foodie. I went to Kyoto just for a nitro matcha latte. What? Oh, I have to finish the ad. Coffee Mate, for the love of coffee.
Thanks for supporting Supernatural then and now. And now, back to the show.
No, this episode was kind of the first one that made us feel like we're back a little bit.
Right.
You know?
And gonna barf. I mean, dude, it's so gross.
Oh, it's so gross.
Oh, I hadn't really, remembered this one specifically. So, I have the DVD and I put it up and I went, oh, this was really high on the disgusto-meter.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
dude.
I said I was eating leftover pasta marinara. As it came on, and I thought, oh God, oh geez, what am I?
And like I said, I hadn't really remembered it. So, the first one, the guy peels his face. I'm going, oh, that's pretty. And then the boils were,
I can't help but wonder, and I still watch that, and I'm trying to look at it through the lens of TV history and think, how in God's name did you guys get this stuff on TV? Like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, well, usually we would just push the envelope, and if they told us to pull back, we'd have our usual, fights with standards. But I don't remember any big fights with this one. Part of the thing is you do you do the stuff with visual effects, and so by the time they see it, you're 2 days from air. What are they going to do?
Right.
But it was really. I can't remember what episode it was. We were shooting, and we had like maggots coming out of a hamburger, and I literally got a little queasy as I'm looking it on the monitor.
Yeah,
and I'm looking at this one yesterday. I was going. I'm sure I felt the same way with that.
So, like with the locust. I hate to even think about it, but the locusts coming out of the skull. I assume those are locusts that trained locusts or whatever.
They're not trained locusts, but yeah.
You had a person on set that was
a locust wrangler,
yeah, which is what we call Richard's agent.
Well, I am with plague management, so that makes sense.
So we've had our cute disheveled angels, our buttoned up angels. Balthazar is a kind of a great take on a rock star angel.
Yeah, Sebastian really got lucky in the wardrobe department.
Yeah, he's dressed like Sebastian.
He's dressed like a French swordsman.
Yeah. Did you were you involved? Did you cast him? Was it an offer? Do you remember?
I don't remember. We probably cast him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a wonderful actor and has certainly worked a lot, but I don't think it was an offer.
Okay. Well, it must have been one of those things where it's like, well, this is our guy because he's so.
Because he's so. I don't know if it says in the description of Balthazar European accent or whatever, but like Sebastian, we have come to know him as he is that guy. Like he's such a specifically great at playing that role that it seems like a no-brainer. But since we weren't there in the process, but do you recall coming across his tape or seeing him in the room and being like, "Oh, that's our guy"?
Oh, absolutely. That was an OTW. When you see that, it's off the wall.
That's funny. Have you ever used that one, Richard?
Well, no. But I don't have the panache of a Bob Singer or the CW looks of a Sebastian Roche. So I'm firing blanks here.
What I was thinking when I was watching this thing, and Sebastian was great, and is that we always tried really hard, and as you guys know, having done the show and done these parts, to give a real life to the villains. Eric always used to say every villain is the hero of his own story, and I think that's one reason the show lasted as long as it did, because we always had these interesting characters, you guys included, obviously, coming in and doing this stuff, and it always injected a life into the show beyond the two guys and what was going on with them. And Sebastian really filled that role great. He was.
Oh my gosh, he's so great,
yeah,
and he's such a presence, and so is Demore Barnes. But he's such a strong and unique part of the look and the accent. Just we haven't been seeing that in the Angel world.
Right.
It's not American or British. It's like whatever hodgepodge accent Sebastian brings to the table.
It's somewhere mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it really is true, Bob. We say it time and time again, but a lot of the guest star actors that you cast really bring this as sort of the secret weapon of Supernatural. You've got these two strong actors as the leads, and Misha, obviously, and then all these other sort of recurring, the B team, as Richard and I call them, and it really is. And Sebastian's a great example that elevates it.
Yeah, great. And by speaking of Castiel, you had he kind of nailed the humor of the air quotes.
Oh yeah, the air quote
doing that bit
really funny.
Castiel, that character originally, or at least in our mind when we wrote the original one, was not supposed to go the length he went.
Wow.
But Misha's so great.
Yeah.
And it was the same with Mark Shepard. That was a one-off.
It's a bit of the Supernatural guest star lottery.
And somebody comes in, it's like, bringing a guy in and he hits 3 home runs in his first game. He said, well, maybe we ought to play him again. But
that's kind of cool about the show, that it helps shape the show, right? The show isn't the show without Castiel, but Misha brought a certain thing and you all kept him on. And
yeah.
But getting Eric to do any angels, I would say to him, is it, we're going to have demons, don't you have to have angels? And I don't want angels, but then I think Moto was his mind, and he goes, "Well, let's do angels as assholes."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
And then it kind of all clicked in, and it worked for him real great.
Yeah. It was certainly a good call, and
I think that's one of the reasons I liked this episode too. Is it was back to what we were doing last season, which was a lot of the
apocalypse conversation and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Stakes.
It did feel a little old school, and I guess even the gore, if you will, the liquefaction guy and locusts and all this stuff felt a little. Okay, we're getting out of the Hallmark Jensen's Married movie, and we're back to the sort of the grisly element of what kind of made supernatural. I kind of dug it.
Right. And it was sort of out of Ben's wheelhouse, but it was, Ben always did these kind of off the wall, a lot of comedy, weird stuff. And this one was really straight ahead. I mean, it was not your typical Ben.
Yeah. To be honest, I forgot that he had written it until just now. Yeah, it's not a typical Ben episode, but it's so great. So many things that you do where I'm like, oh, that's Singer. That's a Singer shot or whatever. But one of my favorite sequences in this is the two angels smashing through the windows and hitting the car, and then that shot of Castiel getting off the car, and then I don't know how you do it, but then you come up through the window and you're behind the guys.
Right. Well, that's how we did it.
What was it? What was that? What is it? A camera? Well, how did you do that shot?
You put the camera between them, right? And I'm showing you, which of course the people,
sure,
but they're only hearing it.
Yeah, between them.
They can hear those hands,
right?
And then you tilt it down.
You tilt it down, and then you come back up, and you'll notice that the pan came up off, and you basically reveal the city before the camera pulled back.
Right.
Yeah. So it was out the window, down, pan up, pull back, reveal the guys.
So good. So good.
Yeah. And what's cool about it is, and we've said this about a bunch of your episodes, even the ones where we haven't had you on to interview you, we'll
why not?
Pick apart. I mean, sometimes I don't know. We should be having you on for those episodes, but we're talking about one you directed towards the end of season 5, where the shots are so great and they are not visual effect shots. They are using the camera and actor movement to create the surprise, the reveal, the framing, whatever it is.
Which is weird to say, but it feels like old school.
I was going to say you came up. Your cinema history is built on how do we do this right now, right here, not how do we do this later in a computer.
Right.
And there's something great about it. I mean, as an audience member, you viscerally know that was being done right then. You can just tell. And
that's why I kept thinking about Hitchcock. I don't know why, because I saw you in the episode. I'm like, oh, is he doing a Hitchcock thing? And I know Carol Reed directed Third Man, right?
Yes.
But it felt Hitchcocky to me, like shots like that. Hitchcock would do that. He'd shoot someone crossing the hall and his camera's basically on the ceiling and you see you know what I mean? You're aware of him making it even more exciting. And that's kind of what I felt about that, especially with that shot where you're like, oh, that was something cool and different.
Thank you, guys. Well, the camera, I like a nice shot as well as the next guy, but I've seen over the years fancy shots that don't tell a story, and that always bugs me. I think the shot, even if it's a really cool shot, should tell the story of what we're trying to do. In this particular instance, it was just a nice tie-in to go from the car to the guys. So that always concerned me in directing is it servicing the story? I can do a really cool shot that services the story. Cool. And sometimes these shots are time savers. I've done plenty where I said, how the hell do I get out of this and come up with, something that I think is interesting that tells the story, but, we're not sitting there, having to do 5 cuts. So.
Well, you say that, and I certainly remember having shadowed you that you talked a lot about that. I would imagine that not only is it you want the shot to tell the story, but you have a hard out in TV. Like you have a limited amount of time to tell your story.
Right.
So the goal being be creative, but be efficiently creative is kind of a necessity more than as well, right? I would assume.
Yeah.
You don't have the long tracking shot with nobody talking is most likely going to hit the cutting room floor.
Right. I remember when Misha directed an episode, and I came up to sit on his shoulder a little bit. I'm sure he didn't appreciate that.
Well, that's gotta hurt. I mean, you're not a tall man, but that's a lot of weight on one shoulder. You know what I
But
mean?
he was in a house, and he had all these shots planned, and because I said to him, about a quarter of the way into the day, what's what do you have planned for the rest of the day? And he gave me this very intricate shot list, and I said, you're never going to get out of here. This is, I mean, that's all fine and good, but you are not going to make the day if you're trying to do all these shots. And he was not happy with that. And I said, if you try this and that, and and he kind of bought it. I mean, the day ended up going quite long anyway, but everybody has, in their head what they want to do, how they see this movie, and sometimes you can't make that movie. You gotta find a way to make it interesting, but
efficient, but still creative.
I remember you came in to watch me direct. I think day 2 I was directing on Just My Imagination, and you came down. You're like, I'm a fly on the wall. I'm not even here. Like pretend. And even though you walk on set, the crew gives you a standing ovation, so it's impossible to know you're not there. They're like, Baba. You're like, I'm not here. I'm sitting over here. Just ignore me. And you literally sat down on a New Yorker or whatever, and they slate it. So this has got to be on camera somewhere. They're like, blah, 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 take 15. And you go, take 15? What are you, Warren Beatty? I'm like, yeah, he's not even here.
He's not even here. He's not even here.
Yeah. For you, Rich, I got to say, because, I'd seen your short, and I thought that it was, not only shot really interesting, but the way you cut that. So I had a lot of faith that you were going to do great. I wasn't worried about you. With Misha or some other first timers, you just don't know. Some people surprise. Some people go, oh boy, they really get it. Other people, they're even though they've been on set forever and watched directors.
Well, it's a different way of seeing things. I mean, again, to reference the shot Rob was just complimenting you on, that's a cinematic brain figuring something out. That is not that shot doesn't just fall off the truck. That's not, you don't go to the manual and go shot 7 on page 13.
And it's also efficient.
It's all those things,
efficient and creative. It's also. It could be 3 or 4 different shots telling that same story, but this is actually one shot. So in a way, it's saving time and it's super creative and interesting. I mean, I remember when we did "Don't Call Me Shirley," and you're like, how can I make this interesting? It's just 2 guys at a bar talking. So every shot you were working to make it so that the viewer doesn't get bored, and you're still saving time here and there, by putting 2 guys in the shot where both of them are facing the same direction or whatever it is. Oh, I was just going to ask about the stunt in that scene as well, like those guys falling out the window. I don't think I've seen that so you really had the 2 stunt guys falling out the window and like one of those big, huge
air pads or whatever,
blow up air pads.
Yeah. And actually there was, because nothing ever goes quite the way you want. We had our regular 2 cameras, and we had a 3rd camera, which was this brand is called a red camera, which for a while was
big deal.
I never particularly liked the red. I always thought the Aries were better, but we had this red, and so it was set up as a 3-camera setup, and we yell action, everybody's ready to go, right, roll camera, right, action, and right on action, the red camera crapped out.
Oh man, not a good commercial for the red camera.
Right. And so, it was really a good stunt, and it worked out fine. I mean, the two angles we had were good, but never got
third angle. You never got.
I mean, literally, we ended with action, and the camera crapped out.
Did you know that right then, or did you after cut? You're like, oh crap, this didn't run.
No, I knew it right in the moment. I was standing right by that camera,
and there was a 1-taker.
Yeah,
1 take on the jump.
That was it. Yeah. I mean, to reset that, I mean, if you're doing a movie, great. But I mean, to reset that window, and I mean, that would have been.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a tricky stunt because if those guys collide.
Oh, yeah. No, it was, that was a big stunt, but and you would have loved to have the 3rd camera, but it didn't work out that way. But
as viewers, we didn't miss it.
I'm watching it with new eyes. I mean, or old eyes watching it. I'm going, all right, that worked. But I remember when they were in the room fighting, and I go, oh, I remember this. This is where you know, and what literally came back to me was, God damn, that red crapped out.
Yeah.
Well, in the red camera for a while, that was like
It was a big deal.
then,
You know,
right?
they were very,
It was like the Tesla of the cameras for a while.
you know, and they were easy to move around and all that, but they weren't that reliable.
Well, it was not a shot that was missed by the viewer because it plays out great. And you were mentioning Misha directing, reference myself directing, and the whole idea of new directors and guys coming into it. Well, coming up, we have Jensen Ackles directing.
Jensen Ackles.
Obviously, Jensen's had been on the set a lot, been on this show a lot. And how difficult or easy was that conversation once he decided he wanted to get behind the camera and tell the story that way?
That was pretty easy. You know, both Jensen and Jared really camera savvy. So many times I can remember people trying to set some shot up and Jensen saying, you know, well, I mean, maybe if I just move over here and this, it'll help, you know. So he clearly has a very visual sense of how the camera works and how you tell the story of the camera. So having Jensen direct was not I didn't sweat that at all.
I would assume, I obviously wasn't around for that, but I've seen him on set, like you say, and just his shorthand is that of a director as an actor.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he just kind of, he gets it. And I think he really watched some of the directors that he liked, Kim and, you know, maybe myself. You know, I think he absorbed a lot of you know, how to do it in this particular show. Well, you know, what stylistically we were doing. And I remember this will sound self-serving, but it's sort of apropos what we're talking about. We had a scene out in the junkyard. I had a big crane out there, and I did basically a master with a crane, and I incorporated a lot of stuff. The crane was up, it was down, it was in, it was out. And, you know, and by the time we got this master, you know, it was one of those things we're doing late at night. You know, basically it was like 3 pops on close-ups after that, and the scene was out. And we cut, and Jensen said, now that's the way you shoot a scene, which I really appreciated, obviously. But also he was aware of the economy of doing that, but it was really kind of, I mean, again, this sounds too self-serving, but it was sort of elegant, you know, and he got it. Absolutely got what I was doing.
Which that's great. And by the way, Bob, it's not self-serving. You are really good at what you do. You've been doing it a long time and doing it at a high level. But also, it's also to the point that there are a lot of actors, I would say the majority of them, who aren't aware of the magic. They don't get it. They're like, why is this taking so long? Like they're just not clocked into what's actually being achieved by a shot or a sequence.
No, okay, yeah, great. I'll take.
Well, what's exciting is we're only on season 6. We got.
Assuming we live that long, we have a lot of shows to watch.
I was going to say by the time you get to year 15, you know, if I'm around, I'll be doing it from the rocking chair at the old folks' home. But
yeah, it's all right. You know what? We'll be 2 rooms over. Like that. So let's not kid ourselves.
We'll literally be passing the microphone.
It'll be a space microphone though, because it'll be the future.
Okay. Always great to talk to you guys.
All right, buddy.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Jeffrey Dean Morgan. We are going to take a quick break.
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Hey, it's Jeffrey D. Morgan again. Welcome back to the podcast.
Well, always great to talk to Bob Singer.
Sir Bob.
Sir Bob. in the house.
I mean, dude, again, we always say this, but you don't get closer to the original source than Bob Singer, since he was Kripke's partner in crime and then continued on after Kripke left. Like, he's the original gangster now holding down the fort.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he's the man. And, certainly when you talk about the show, you've got Kripke. From the beginning, he helped craft the show.
Say it with the same breath.
What?
I said, you say them in the same breath.
Sorry, I thought you said,
yeah, I need another cup of coffee is what I need. But you know what else I need?
Mythology?
I need some mythology.
All right, well, let's talk about the staff of Moses.
You pig. Can you get your mind out of the gutter and talk about something else other than some dude's staff?
All right, well, it's also known as the staff of God. You're welcome. How do you do? The rod of Moses.
That's your preferred phrase.
Or, no, this is my favorite, the rod of God.
Ba-doom.
Rod of God. Ooh, possible tattoo. So mythology. So, Richard, tell the people about the rod of God.
Don't mind if I do, Robbie. The staff, or rod, as Rob likes to call it, made its first appearance when God first spoke to Moses through the burning bush. Great cocktail lounge, the Burning Bush, right here in central Los Angeles.
That's right.
At the time, the rod became a snake. Robbie, that's why you always refer to your rod as a snake.
Make it more phallic.
Later, Moses uses the snake trick, the old snake trick, to convince elders of Israel that he is legit and should go rescue the Jews from Egypt. Elders, I'm legit. You don't believe me? Look at this snake trick.
Check out my snake. Made you look.
Elders, suckers. They should call you the suckers. Once in Egypt, Moses and his brother Aaron confront Pharaoh. They use the old snake trick to try and convince him of their magic. But the Egyptian sorcerers have magical rods that turn into snakes too. You're not the only one that can turn your rod into a snake, Broheim. Yet Moses' snake eats all the other snakes for the win.
Wow.
W in Moses' column, because I gobbled up your rod. I'm a rod gobbler, or at least my snake is. Rob, you want to pick up the story there?
Later, the staff goes on to turn the Nile into blood, infests the lands with frogs and plagues, draws water from a rock, and of course, most famously, splits the Sea of Reeds.
Splits the Sea of Reeds? Split the Red Sea? Like, is that the same thing?
So Sea of Reeds, a.k.a. the Red Sea.
The Red Sea, all right, cool.
It's like the red wedding in the Game of Thrones, you know what I mean?
Except for this is the Bible.
And it's Sea of Reeds.
Yeah, true.
Supposedly, Moses' staff,
or rod,
is currently on display today within the Sacred Relics collection at the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, Turkey.
Nice.
Sounds a little R-rated.
Yeah, don't take the kids unless you're comfortable then. Oh, forget it. I'm dropping that joke. Anyway, now it's time for Fun Facts.
The title of the episode comes from the 1949 Orson Welles film, The Third Man.
You sound like Foster Brooks. There's a reference for the kids at home. Foster Brooks. Yeah. Oh, Orson Welles.
Orson Welles was the star of the movie. It was directed by Carol Reed.
From the Sea of Reeds.
From the Sea of Reeds.
There you go.
Or the Red Sea.
Aaron, the name of the boy who had a piece of the staff, is the name of Moses' brother in the Bible.
Whoa.
Moses' other brother was named Christopher Birch. People don't know that, including the Birches.
The painting behind Balthazar when he's talking to Castell in his house is Saskia van Uylenburg im Profil by Rembrandt.
I knew that.
What? I wonder what the, why?
Oh, why? What's the significance?
Yeah, of that Rembrandt.
Jerry liked it.
Yeah, and it felt very Balthazar-y.
Dean is just leaving Burger Heaven when Sam calls. Burger Heaven is a local restaurant in New Westminster, a southeast suburb of Vancouver, BC, Canada. Vancouver, Canada.
There's a couple shots in this episode where it was so clearly Canada.
Canada?
Like that scene at the end where they're outside, baby, having that talk like, what's really going on with you, Sam?
There's always a lot of shots in there. They're like, I don't care if you say you're in Des Moines.
In the background, you see like some buildings that are clearly Vancouver.
Love Vancouver. Great city, great skyline, great people. Canada.
Canada.
Well, this is a great episode. And of course, you had Sebastian Roche introduced to us as a character, Balthazar, and Bob Singer on as our guest. What could make this better? And I say nothing. It was great.
Nothing makes it better.
And that's why it got a Vincent Price and a Colonel Sanders.
That's right.
Not bad ratings. Not bad ratings.
Proud of those ratings. I stand by them.
For any other show, those are top ratings. But Supernatural, Supernatural just knows how to hit home runs.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah.
More than home run. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. This episode of Supernatural features Jared Padalecki as Sam Winchester, Jensen Ackles as Dean Winchester, and Misha Collins as Castiel.
Guest stars include Sebastian Roche. No, seriously, Sebastian's in the show. Cindy Sampson, Demore Barnes, and Adam Osei.
The Third Man was written by Ben Edlund, directed by Robert Singer.
Editing by Anthony Pinker, music by Jay Gruska.
Executive produced by Sarah Gamble, Robert Singer, and Eric Kripke.
This episode originally aired on October 8th, 2010.
This episode of Supernatural Then and Now was hosted and executive produced by Richard Spade Jr. and Rob Benedict.
Produced by Stephen Hine, written by Stephen Hine and Haida Holscher.
And edited and associate produced by Trey Booty. Music provided by Tim Wynn.
This episode was recorded with the help of Sonic Fuel Studios.
This podcast is from Story Mill Media.
Follow the podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at SPN Then and Now.
And become a member of the podcast at patreon.com/SPN Then and Now.
Steve Hine, I guess.
Steve Hine is the Third Man.
Yeah, I mean, like, is that a... Yeah. So, okay, let's start. You want to redo the intros? Go ahead.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
I'm Richard Spade Jr.
And that's
Steve the Third Man. Come on, Steve Hine.
He's the Third Man.
Man, we teed you up for success, and you only deliver failure.
We gotta go back.
Welcome to my world.
The officer continually scratches his head until he keels over dead.
You don't have any follow-up questions to like grilled chicken.
No, I just, we have to move on.
All right,
I know we're pressured.
Let's talk about Supernatural.
Pressure for time,
blah, blah, blah.
and no one listening ever thought we'd get that long of a sidebar about Chris Birch.
Chris Birch is thrilled. I'm putting him on the map. Steve Hine just texted our group text, tasty, ice cream cone, eggplant. So he's correcting me. That's what you sent us.
Or did he quote me and then make it one dirtier?
Oh, like Steve Hine it up a little bit?
It up with a little...
Add a little Hiney to it?
Yeah, some Hiney to it.
Story Mill Media.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Laureau, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth. Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.